This is bad news for the New England Patriots. Let's talk about it. My name is Aaron. This is Sports Talk Patriots on the daily, pushing out Patriots content for people just like you that just can't get enough. So do me a favor before you get started. Somewhere on here, there's a subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. It'd mean the world to me. As well, like the little thumb and comment below when asked or whenever. Don't really care. Anyways, today what we're going to be talking about is players on the injury report as well. We're going to be talking about the wide receiver core, some good things in that realm, as well the quarterback battle, and some offensive line rules that need to be discussed. So we're going to jump right into it. Antonio Gibson, our boy, second string running back right behind Ramondre Stevenson on the injury report with a hip injury. So that does not mean he won't play week one, but the bad news is there is a likelihood he will not play. And so in that situation, you'd have Hasty, the third string. He would come in and be that second series, whatever you want to call it, second string running back, all right, depending on how AVP plays it. So again, I've talked about this before. The reason this is huge is you look at Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. You could argue with a great line that backfield has the potential, that 1-2 punch has the potential to be one of the best running back duos in the NFL. Again, I've said it before, and you're literally like, you probably have a checklist somewhere in your room of the times I say serviceable offensive line. So it's a big hit. If you've seen Antonio Gibson play before, especially when he was at Washington, he has a lot of potential. He has a lot of pop. Against the Commanders in the preseason game, he had some dump-off passes where he made some moves. He gained some solid yardage. And so he has a lot of football left to play. So him getting injured is not ideal. Again, it's still one of those question marks, and we will see moving forward this week. Obviously, today is Friday, so we'll see hopefully either today or tomorrow they will make a decision on that. But again, it would be a huge blow for the rushing game, especially with AVP wanting to solidify that run, really start the run, open up the pass. That's the whole idea. So we're going to see how that works. So fingers crossed, Antonio Gibson would not be good. As well, Lowe on the other side of the injury report, Lowe, the left tackle, did come back, was dressed for practice the other day. So that is looking better. Again, a lot of you are like, Lowe is that is you're happy that he's healthy. Yeah, listen, we need all the bodies we can have on the offensive line. Goodness sakes, shoot, if we got to turn that into a hockey line where we're just like rotating out fresh bodies, that's a newer thing in college football. Where they're rotating. Am I saying they should do that? Because there are some sketchy tackles that or players that we have on the line that I don't think should be going out there much. But at the same time, listen, it's a fresh body. If it's giving the other people the ability to not get injured potentially or take a rest, I don't know. Listen, that was just that. I didn't even mean to talk about that, but that was just random. They shouldn't do that. Do not do that. That would be stupid. But again, it is an idea. Next up, we're going to talk about wide receivers. Now, last night, the reason we're talking about this, if you watched any of the Chiefs and Ravens games, you saw one familiar face out there. Well, you probably saw a lot of them, but one familiar face, and that was Juju. Juju was out there, and he actually got a significant amount of snaps for the Kansas City Chiefs. He had an opportunity, I believe, when they were in the red zone, just outside the red zone. He did a little out route, and Patrick Mahomes fired one in. He initially caught it just on the edge of the ball. As he came down, he dropped it, incomplete pass. But again, I believe from looking at the end of the game box score, he did have a couple targets. And so when it comes down to it, the reason I bring that up is the Patriots dropped him well before the cut period. That is a good sign. And the reason I say that is because the Patriots trust this wide receiver core. All right. people are sleeping on these wide receivers, they are about to prove a lot of people wrong. I firmly believe that. Comment below what you think about that. I firmly believe these wide receivers are going to prove a lot of people wrong. Now, yesterday we talked about Pop for a little bit. He was kind of the focal point of the video. If you didn't watch it, check that out. But when it comes down to it, a lot of people have said, hey, listen, Aaron, offensive line, we've talked about it. It's going to be rough. The quarterback's not going to have enough time to get out the ball. Sure, don't disagree. But again, that gives AVP, if you are the true professional offensive coordinator, you are understanding, hey, get the ball out. So you're looking at these short crossing routes, these short hitches, these short passes in the flat to people like Pop, Polk, these different opportunities saying, hey, here's our weakness right here. We can't be sitting in the pocket forever. And we saw Jacoby Brissett in some of these preseason games. The pocket would collapse. He didn't look comfortable. He wasn't necessarily stepping up in the pocket, where Drake May looked much more comfortable. Again, we'll talk about that in a second as well. But I think these wide receivers are going to do great. I think, again, like I said yesterday, I think Pop is going to go off this year. I think Polk has a potential to show a lot of people that, hey, he was a great pick out of Washington. And so we'll see what happens. And Thornton has the opportunity to prove a lot of people wrong. I'm excited for these wide receivers. Comment below what you think on that. Quarterbacks. So interesting. Former New England Patriot talking about how he thought it was an awful mistake, that bad decision that Drake May is not the starter. Now, it's kind of fluff, everything he says. He says, well, Jaden Daniels is going to start. Bryce Young started last year. Yes, again, there are two sides to it. There's two sides to everything. Yes, Bryce Young was thrown into the fire. That team last year was awful. That offense last year was awful. That offensive line, awful. So he was thrown into it. He has that experience. Sure, that gives him that experience. There's hopefully for him, he can only go up. That's my opinion. But when it comes down to it, I prefer Drake May. Drake May will get in there. Again, I think how they are looking at this is from the standpoint of, if we start Drake May and people get upset, it's going to be much more awkward to switch to Jacoby than it would be from starting Jacoby. We want to switch. We go to May. Much different transition. When you take Drake May out, it could, kill his, mentality, the morale, all these different things. So when it comes down to it, I think, though I want to see Drake May, and I think we will see him soon, I do not think it's a bad decision. Again, as well, look at AVP. I think AVP, there's a reason they brought in Jacoby Brissett. He understands AVP system, so we will see how that goes. He has a better understanding of it. And again, he's even talked about how he's going to be calling plays when Jacoby's playing versus Drake May is playing. It is going to look different. It's going to be different. So, again, bad decision? I don't think so. Now, if Jacoby goes in there and just downward spiral, sinks, explodes, dumpster fire, then yeah, sure, maybe you could say that and throw Drake May in there and say, all right, this is what we're doing moving forward. So we will see when it comes to that. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk quickly about this new offensive line rule. And I really think this rule stems from, if you watched last year, if you remember this game at all, probably not, but the very first game last year was the Detroit Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Lions won 20-19. Gosh, it was awesome. But there was an issue with Taylor, the left tackle, where everyone was complaining. It seemed like he's lining up in the backfield. And there was times that he was almost jumping the snap, and it was never called. Never called. I really think that game set the tone of, all right, this is a problem. We need to look into it, especially when it's the first game of the year. Everyone's eyes are on it. Everyone's excited for football, and it was a glaring issue. So they addressed it this year. So last night, I believe his name was Stanley, 79, the left tackle for the Ravens, got called for it multiple times. So the issue is your helmet needs to be in line with the belt line of the center. If not, it's going to be a legal formation. The lineman's going to be set up in the backfield. So instead of having the 7 people on the offensive line that you need, you only have 6. So obviously you're going to get called for it. So hopefully, and I believe it was called more than once as well on the Patriots when they played the Commanders just the other day. But hopefully with this offensive line that, again, I'm gonna use the word Frankenstein. Someone used that in the comments. I thought it was hilarious. This Frankenstein offensive line, hopefully they can keep that at bay, because that will be a drive killer. The Ravens, they could move on from it when you have weapons like Lamar Jackson, Andrews, Flowers, Bateman, Derrick Henry. You have these opportunities where, they drop back into a, I believe, 3rd and 12 at some point, converted. Fine. Now, for the Patriots, that's going to be much different. They are going to send the house, and it is going to be much harder for someone like Jacoby Brissett to not get flustered, not throw a pick, not get a sack, whatever it might be. So the Patriots really need to make sure this is not an issue going into week 1, because they are throwing the flags. They're not afraid to throw the flags, so it needs to be addressed. And I'm sure it has been with Scott Peters. Again, I think he is the right man in charge for this offensive line unit. And in the years to come, this unit should only get better. Hopefully next draft, it is addressed. Hopefully next offseason with potential pickups, it can be addressed, and then we can move forward. Because, again, when you have a running back, going back full circle, back to talking about running backs, when you have 2 running backs like Ramondre and Antonio, you got to take advantage of that. You got to get a line. You get a average line in there, a run-of-the-mill line in there. Golly, they could do some work. So, Patriots, we got to figure this out. Anyways, this is Sports Talk Patriots. Oh yeah, comment below. What do you think about that penalty? Do you think it's if you watched the game last night, do you think it was called too much? What were your thoughts? There was times I thought the guard was lined up in the backfield. So comment below. What do you think? And yeah, I appreciate you guys. This is Sports Talk Patriots. On the way out, hit that subscribe button. Peace.